Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm Zeus Kerravala from ZK Research, and I'm joined today by John Maddison, Chief Product and Corporate Marketing Officer for F5. John, how you been? It's been a while since we talked.
It has indeed. Good to be here again.
Yeah, well, it is the F5 AI week. In fact, it's the end of the week. This was a tremendous week, I think, for F5 to show a lot of the innovation it's had. And I would think in the area of AI, and if I were to think of how to characterize it, you had a number of announcements that highlighted how F5 is helping customers with AI, i.e. F5 for AI, and the other way around, how AI is being used to change F5 products and help your customers better. Now, there were, from what I saw, 4 major announcements, and I want to go through each one of those, if you don't mind. And the first one being the State of Application Strategy Report was dropped this week. And so, John, I want to go through some of the highlights of that report. But first, I think it's interesting that this is the 10th year of that report. So maybe talk about how that report's changed over the years and what the goals of it really are.
Yeah. This report that we do every year gets a lot of attention, actually. It's a very detailed report. And it started off, I think, more on the delivery and networking side, but over
Yeah.
the years has included cybersecurity and other technologies. And indeed, in the 10th year, and in fact, if you look at this report over the 10 years, if you go back to when it first came out in 2015, they talked about private cloud, which is actually basically virtualization of the data center. And I always think of that as being, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It was only 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We are getting excited about virtualization of the data center. And so as you go through the years there, you see these themes, a year later, some of the first APTs were coming out, the first public cloud, multi-cloud is only 4 years ago, people talking about that. And then hybrid will be here for a long time. I think it's interesting over the last 3 years, a lot of AI and API. So 22, there was AI disruptions to come. Last year was APIs, which is fundamental, of course, to AI and agentic as we go forward. And this year, the key theme was AI ops has arrived. And so AI will be the new control plane for operations. And operations could be network operations, it could be security operations, it could be the DevOps, and then the new word is platform ops these days. And so it's interesting to see, the evolution, the key themes as we go through this report. But definitely, the time is compressing in terms of the rate of change. And again, if you think back only a few years ago, the public cloud's here and it's going to take over everything. Well, that didn't happen. Didn't happen at all. And in fact, if you look at what's going on today, people are actually starting to build their own sovereign data centers. And so it's just interesting to me when you look at this
Yeah.
report and the key themes, how it changes so quickly.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about this too is when you look at these dots here, it's not like as we moved along, the old stuff went away. We just added to it. Right. And so we still have to worry about private cloud security, hybrid IT. Now we're adding AI. And so the environment is a lot more complex than it was before. And I actually enjoyed reading this report every year. I think some of the nuggets that come out of it are pretty interesting. What were some of the key data points from this year's report that F5 thought were relevant?
Well, I think, some of the things that came out were, as you say, that this hybrid multi-cloud world we live in is getting more complex in that some of the traditional data centers are not going away. In fact, they're being revamped, that almost every customer uses multiple clouds, that there's edge compute coming along now because of agentic. And it's going to be complex for applications. Applications are going to be very distributed, even more distributed across the enterprise footprint, which means you need to have a flexible way of deploying the application delivery and security components. And so it could be that you need really high performance in an AI factory. It could be that you need flexibility over modern apps like Kubernetes or containers. It could be that you need to be able to deploy quickly on up and down in a utility kind of cloud model, or it could be that the customer just wants you to do everything from a SaaS model perspective. And so I think the ability to deploy across all these areas with a consistent delivery, high performance delivery mechanism, consistent security and policy is really important. And then the second piece of that obviously is just the AI, the ability to use AI to make operations easier in the product itself, and then the ability for us to protect the AI infrastructure, the AI users, the AI applications or the models as they start to roll those things out is going to be really important as well.
Yeah, I thought one of the really kind of fascinating data points was you asked about AI readiness as well, where 77% of the audience said they were moderately ready, but only 2% were highly ready. And I'm not sure exactly how you define one versus the other, but I think the fact that um, I interpret that as most companies feel okay about AI, but not like they're ready to step on the gas in full, because there's a lot of infrastructure considerations that they need.
Yeah, and I look at it this way, and it's sometimes if you look at AI security or security for AI, it's not too different from traditional. Like you've got users, you've got applications, you've got infrastructure that connects everything and makes sure everything works. You've got GRC regulatory compliance requirements there as well. And so that model hasn't changed really. It's just the way users interact with the application and the way that the application behaves and the different threats can come from that and the way the infrastructure changes slightly as well. So it's no different from an application and security and user security and infrastructure security today. It's just different in the way it's used in the behavioral models. And so it's moving really quickly, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And customers realize that. I think even the analyst community is struggling to keep up sometimes as well, which is unusual. But it's moving so quickly, customers are getting a bit scared in that they're going, yeah, we need to go fast because our competition are implementing all these things, but if we're going to miss something at some point. And so really, it really points towards more of a partnership between F5 and its customers to make sure we understand exactly and they understand what we can do to help them.
Yeah. What's interesting too is while the report showed 77% of companies moderately ready, the AI app penetration showed the report showed only 25% of apps on average use AI, where the highly ready companies are almost completely all their apps have it. And so that there seems to be a bit of a gap there. I do wonder too about, I'm curious your thoughts about just the future of apps themselves. Does do we just wind up not thinking about apps in the future and we just start interfacing with all our apps through agentic AI interfaces and the
Yeah.
traditional UI goes away, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was in the report it talks about 80% of, apps being AI enabled by in the next 3 years. I think people are already moving towards agentic. So yes, that's, traditional apps or apps are going to be AI enabled, but I think the agentic world is going to arrive here very, very fast. And, we did some recent announcements around the ability to help agentic, protect agentic, transport and routing at the Paris kind of NVIDIA GTC show. I think that particular area is going to move extremely well. But I mean, I think it comes back to what F5 has done over the last 20 years, and we have this data plane, this layer 4 to layer 7 data plane, which is programmable, which means we can look at and get in between everything and make sure we can sanction either layer 4 stuff or layer 7 stuff or layer 8 stuff, as they call it, going forward for AI and agentic.
All right. All right. Well, that was good to see the evolution of the report and certainly some interesting factoids there. And I'll make sure there's a link to the report in the YouTube description below. All right, John. Well, the second announcement was about the F5 AI assistant for your application delivery and security platform, and also for iRules. And I'm really excited about the iRules piece of this because that's been a tried and true tool for F5 administrator for years. So first, talk about what the platform is, and then discuss how you're now using AI to help customers manage it.
Yeah, the ADSP platform is something we announced earlier in the year, and it really, to us, it's a whole new category. You think about these what I call converged platforms like SASE and CNAP and EPP. We think ADSP is a completely new category and really focused on the application delivery and security. And we kind of describe it in four different areas. The first is obviously high performance delivery, making sure we can deliver the applications through load balancing or making sure they can connect through DNS or optimize through CDN. or connect through multi-cloud, there is all the security components of that, WAP or WAF, bot, anti-bot, DDoS protection, data leakage. The new one is AI gateway, making sure we can secure any application. And then, really importantly, as I described earlier, in a hybrid multi-cloud world, making sure that we can put it on hardware, DPUs from NVIDIA, we can put it on modern apps, SaaS as a service, software. And then sitting on top of that, and this is the kind of the conversation about AI assistant, is there XOps functionality. And so when we say XOps, we kind of mean NetOps and SecOps and DevOps and PlatOps. And so AI assistant is the AI capability that's going to be built into the platform across all the products sitting in that platform.
All right. And then, and so that actually creates almost like a true co-worker for your administrator to help manage the platform better.
Yeah, and the way we look at it is this. We think there's almost three levels of AI assistant. And the first one actually we've rolled out already
Yep.
across most of the products, and that is the explain. And we treat that as the lowest level because in some ways you can do that already. You can go to chat GTP and ask that question. But so we've got explain where they can just ask questions on the product and how to do this, how to do that. The announcement around iRules, F5 iRules, is the first time we've had a generate type functionality. And so the ability to take plain English and say, I want to do this, I want to get this traffic here in a certain way, and then the system will generate the iRules code for you, is the capability. And then the other way around as well, we could take actually a existing piece of iRules code and say, what does this do? Sometimes the coders and the developers have left and no one knows what it's doing. And so you can do that as well. And I think as we go forward, then the next level of value for customers will be optimized. Can I take the existing policies? Are some redundant? Can I make them more efficient? I'm moving applications around now. Can you optimize the routes or the delivery or the security for this capability? So AI assistant, iRules, in fact, if you look at our install base, over 85% of our customers use iRules. And in fact,
Yeah.
70% of all instances of big IP use iRules. And so this is a big deal for our customers. I mean, I think the ability to automate, generate iRules for our customers is going to be very important.
Yeah. Well, as a longtime follower of F5, and one-time customer too, prior to my analyst days, I'm delighted to see this. I've always said, with iRules, once a customer creates a handful of iRules, then the product, it's really hard to take out F5 because it creates a lot of custom features they wouldn't be able to do otherwise. And so the addition of AI to it, to me, just makes it more powerful.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
times the iRules were used just to help the application work properly. So it wasn't even, it wasn't
Yeah.
even efficiency. It was just, it wouldn't work if you didn't have that capability inside there. So I think this is very important to our customers, this announcement.
Yeah. And just as a funny anecdote to it, I used to judge actually the iRules contest when you had them. People would create iRules for things their company didn't even do. They'd be sitting there thinking up, if I could do this and this to it, that would be a cool feature. And the number of iRules that got generated from those contests is unbelievable.
Well, it's amazing to me. I think of iRules as being some tech that's tucked away underneath the overall product. But I bring up iRules, and virtually everybody knows about iRules.
All right, John. Now, announcement 3 was in the area of data leakage detection and prevention. F5, obviously, a very strong security player. So talk about that.
Yeah, we did a small acquisition a few months ago, Leak Signal, and we liked them because they were working on data leakage, but one of the biggest problems I think data leakage has is looking at data in transit and trying to discover that and classify that and then make decisions on that. And so they've been on board inside the company now, 4 or 5 months, and a couple of areas where we thought that would be applied pretty quickly. One was through our SSL orchestrator, where we do the decryption for a lot of companies, and so we could do that at the same time. We could then do some of the DLP capability, but just as importantly, our AI gateway, where we're sitting in between the application and the model, and customers are very, very scared about the data, traveling around into data and data models,
Mhm.
etc. And so we're going to apply it to our AI gateway. In fact, it's already sitting there in our 1.1 release that we just had, and so that's available right now for the AI gateway. We're a few months out from the SSLO implementation, but yeah, it's kind of our first steps into data leakage. And when you speak to customers, they'll always come back to the data. Yeah, security
Mhm.
and delivery and everything. But hey, I'm really scared about my data. And so these are important announcements for us.
Yeah, well, think about the implications of this now with AI, right? Everybody talks about data being the new gold or the new oil. Uh, well, guess what the bad guys are going to try and steal? And I think the DLP part of AI hasn't really been highlighted by the media as much as maybe some simple guardrails and things like that. And obviously, companies are still getting their feet wet with it, but I think you're addressing an issue that likely will be one of the biggest issues when moving forward with AI, and that's the DLP side. Now, the fourth announcement was you had a joint release with Minio, and can you discuss who Minio is and why this is such a significant uh, joint release?
Yeah, so our ADSP platform obviously does a lot of things, but it's very focused on the application delivery and security. And we have to play in a larger ecosystem though, okay? And
Mhm.
so customers, are okay about, a platform approach, but you have to sit inside their ecosystem they've decided upon, whether it be the networking side, whether it be endpoints, or whether it be storage and infrastructure. And MinIO is moving very fast because of the amount of storage and data that you need to have. We've got some joint customers already. And so we complement each other really well because obviously they do this very large amount of storage, very rapid ability to move data around, and taking our, even traditional products like big IP, and making sure that it can sit on an ingress point to bring all the data in, or it can sit in front of the model to take all the data out, is becoming very important because just the amount of data is amazing. Some of these companies that have built their own AI factories, you think of the amount of data,
Mhm.
it's just massive. And so what we've seen actually is that customers who traditionally were saying, well, yeah, we probably got all the capacity and performance we need, are coming back and saying, no, we need more performance. We need more capacity. And that's pushing us as a company to kind of look and think about, software, implementing and optimizing our software as well as the hardware. I think everyone says, oh, hardware's going away, you won't need it anymore. Just the opposite, I think, as we go forward. And especially when you've got quantum coming along as well, the ability to move massive amounts of data in encrypted modes or into big models or ingress points. And so our partnership will be working very closely together to optimize even further for our joint customers. But MinIO is definitely a strategic partner for us because it has to work inside that AI factory.
Yeah, and the importance of storage too, I think, can't be minimized because one of the interesting things about AI and data is that once you start to rag the models and you use synthetic data, AI and data just begets more data, right? And so the data requirements go up. And your point on hardware is interesting too, because all through F5's history, there was a lot of chatter about the hardware platform going away. But I've always thought the one thing that you did really well is it's this some things are best done in hardware, some things are best done in silicon, some are best done in software, and it's the combination of things that actually make things work. And God bless NVIDIA, they seem to have brought some level of cool back to hardware. So I know you guys are in lockstep with them too. So
Yeah, yeah. I think again, everyone thought we're moving to the cloud. We're going to move in. That's it.
yeah.
No one needs to do anything else on hardware, but just the opposite for us. We think, we just released a really CX and BX systems is a very big chassis-based system that's able to move massive amounts around of data around and inspect it. So, we've got further design and implementations as we go forward. We're working very closely with NVIDIA. They think the AI factory of the future, that the data processing unit, the DPU cards will be very important. And so we're implementing software on there to optimize it, to provide multi-tenancy, to move the data around very quickly inside there. So yes, there is a lot of software we need to implement, but also hardware's not going away.
Yeah, don't sleep on hardware. So, all right, John. Well, that wraps up the F5 AI week. Just as a close, any key thoughts from the week and any recommendations you'd make to your customers?
Yeah, well, I think, as I said earlier, it's moving very fast. And for us, for me, that we've got AI as a company, just like our customers we're implementing. We've got AI we're putting inside our products. So AI for security. And then we've got security for AI, where we're implementing the ability to protect APIs, move data around, be a massive ingestion point for the data itself, and then of course sit between the models with an AI gateway to make sure we protect the models themselves. And so again, I think it's a journey for our customers, and we want to work closely with our customers to make sure we help them on that journey.
All right. And so from the words of John Maddison, AI is coming, it's coming fast. And as F5 has always been there with different types of applications, you'll be there to help them with the performance and security. Did I get that right?
You did indeed.
All right. So on behalf of John Maddison, the Chief Product and Corporate Marketing Officer at F5, Zeus Kerravala from ZK Research saying thanks for watching. Give us a like and make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you next time on the next episode of ZKast.